Okay, today you're going to hear an amazing story about a man who was severely depressed and anxious because he was diagnosed with a severe illness, multiple sclerosis. And you're going to see how he went from intense fear and despair to joy in a single therapy session. And if you're feeling down with depression or anxiety, even though your life will be radically different from his, the same principles will apply. So you'll learn a little bit about how to change the way you think and feel as well. The work I do is based on the idea that your thoughts and not the events of your life cause all your feelings. And that's really a great message, because if your life circumstances are bad or screwed up, you can still find happiness. But a lot of people don't buy it, and probably you don't buy it either. People say, well, if you're really old, or if you're ill, or if this happens to you or that happens to you, it's just inevitable to feel crappy. And this addresses that exact question in a pretty interesting way. When I was in clinical practice in Philadelphia, a neurologist referred a man to me for depression, and he had multiple sclerosis. And the whole idea is, that's a pretty severe disease, and the symptoms are intermittent loss of muscle control. So you might suddenly fall down, or dizziness, or sensations disappear from your limbs. You can't feel things, and these symptoms come and go unexpectedly. And this man was very depressed and thought, it's kind of impossible to have happiness because I've got this multiple sclerosis and it's real. So how could I possibly find joy or meaning? And he had been a very successful life insurance agent, and people in the life insurance business are into being number one, and they compete and they base their self-esteem on their sales. And he had been hiding from his colleagues that he had multiple sclerosis, and because he felt ashamed. And that's so common. All of us, we beat up on ourselves when we have some shortcoming, thinking you're not athletic enough or smart enough or successful enough to be worthwhile. And one of his thoughts, and I'm always asking people, it's good to know the circumstances of your life, and your life, if you're listening and tuning in, what are the problems you're facing, but more important, what are the thoughts about them? Because more often than not, those thoughts are going to be distorted and unrealistic. You're kind of conning yourself when you're depressed and anxious and ashamed most of the time, but you don't realize it. At any rate, what he was thinking is that if my colleagues, see me stumble or fall, and they find out I have multiple sclerosis, they'll look down on me and judge me, and I'll be inferior. And he was 100% that was true. And the part of the therapy is to use some techniques to see if you are conning yourself. And I suggested something called the experimental technique, which he was very afraid to do. But I told him, what do you think would happen if you told your colleagues that you've had multiple sclerosis and you're hiding it and kind of down? Because I know you were an athletic champion in high school and college, and now you can't even, run the bases in baseball. And he said, oh my gosh, I'd lose all of my status and friendships with the people at work. And I said, I'd really like you to test that and tell them what's going on. And then next week, come back and let me know. And when he came back the next week, his depression score had fallen to 0, and he was really in a state of joy and somewhat disbelief, because as you might imagine, his colleagues who loved him and felt really close to him provided warmth and support instead of judging him or thinking he was less than. And it turned out that what he was hiding from others actually became his greatest asset in terms of warmth and intimacy and connecting with people in a deeper way and happiness. And so that's the simple message for today. It's not a simple message, though, and there's several parts to it. And one part is your thoughts and not your circumstances create all of your moods. And I believe that anyone, no matter what your circumstances, is capable of feeling joy and self-esteem. And the second thing is your thoughts are going to be the source of your misery, what you're telling yourself. And maybe you're telling yourself, too, that you're not good enough. And your life is radically different from his. But you may have that same theme. I haven't, in your life, I haven't succeeded enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. And the problem isn't your flaws. We've all got flaws. I've got a ton of flaws. I'm not going to tell you in this video. You have to watch the next video to find out about that. But it's not your flaws that are causing you to feel depressed and anxious and ashamed and angry and inadequate and lonely, but that voice in your brain. And the moment you change the way you think, you can change the way you feel. And what was his distortion? There's 10 distortions I listed in my first book, Feeling Good. And I'm sure you can identify with many of them when you're upset in your thoughts. But his was, there were two. One is mind reading, thinking he knew how other people think. And we all tend to do that, and it can cause not only internal loneliness and shame and inadequacy, but problems in relationships, as well as all or nothing thinking that because he had multiple sclerosis, he'd gone from had been the top life insurance salesman in the firm to nothing, thinking now because I'm flawed, I'm a zero. So that's the message for today. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about it and how to, use these tools in your own life and transform your own misery into joy, you might want to check out our Feeling Great app and go right there or wherever the link is, and check it out. And if you like it, you can get a year's subscription. Or if you like it and you're broke, then just contact us and we'll be ever so happy, pleased to give it to you for free. So that's it for today, and thanks for tuning in. And see you again soon. Bye-bye.